Good morning, everybody. Again, thank you for being here. My name is Susan McPherson. I am with the Columbia Chamber of Commerce, and on behalf of Carl Blackstone, Laura McKinney, Naomi Walton, and Rebecca Spence, thank you for joining us today. This is what we call our exclusive breakfast briefing. So the information you're going to hear today is not really public on the street, so you're special and you're going to get a first treat peek at the great information these folks are going to share. Before we get started with our panelists, I do want to call Steve Pageant up to say a word from Blue Cross. They are our main sponsor, and they do great work supporting all of our small businesses. So Steve, thank you for being here. Thank you for what you do.
Thank you, Susan. Susan told me I had 45 seconds, so I need a stopwatch starting now. It is great to be with you guys this morning as we talk what I feel is the true lifeblood of the economic engine in Columbia, and that's small business. It is what drives the decision makers. You hear all the stories in the news about the Boeings and the Scouts, and those are all wonderful opportunities. But what every day continues to drive the engine is small business. And so with Blue Cross, what we want to do is to be a part of that growth and development with your business as it relates to health insurance. So when you think about health insurance, you think Blue Cross, hopefully, but one of the things that we have found in this difficult economic time is looking for ways to attract and retain your most qualified talent. And what we are hearing from folks is that what they're looking for is flexibility in health insurance. So when it comes to that time, and we're almost to open enrollment for everybody, over 65, under 65, small business, everybody, when it comes time to make those decisions around health insurance, think Blue Cross. There's information with the Chamber on their website. I'll be here afterwards if you need information. We can talk through how we can maybe help your business attract and continue to grow. So Susan, thank you. I hope I hit 45 seconds, but I'll be around afterwards to answer any questions. Thank you.
Thank you, Steve. You did so well, I wasn't even timing you, so thank you. I appreciate that. I want to take a minute. Do we have any new chamber partners with us today? Hey, thank you, sir. You want to stand up and tell us your name and your business? Okay, thank you, sir, for coming. Thank you for joining the Chamber, and we hope that you will make a lot of connections here today. It's a great group, and the Chamber is a great organization for networking and telling others about what you're doing and finding out what they're doing to see how you can connect together. So thank you, sir. We appreciate that. And anything the Chamber can do to help you further those connections, let us know, and that applies to everybody here. We're always glad to help you out. That's what we do best. So I did want to also take a minute to say thank you to our panel. I have to tell you, this is a very intriguing subject for me. Laura asked me this morning, she said, did you go home and study up on it last night? And I said, well, I read over it and then I got even more in depth, and I'm like, maybe I better let the experts do that. So I am so thankful we have all four of y'all here today to share some information with us on AI, and I have to tell you, it's going to change the way we do business going forward. So what we want to do today is take a look at how is it going to change us, how do we work the change to our advantage, and then how do we prepare for the changes that we don't want to have come to our business. So Donna and I were talking about that later, and she said, but AI is never going to replace the people. I said, yeah, but it might be like GPS. We depend on the GPS to get us where we're going, so we can't read a map anymore. So without further ado, I'm going to ask, if you would, to tell me your name and your company and a little bit about your company.
Start with you, Ms. Donna. Thank you. Good morning, everyone. I am Donna Davis, the CEO of DW Davis Consulting. I am a certified AI consultant. I help small businesses to amplify their authentic voice so that AI does not take over. People are still looking for authenticity. So our brand voice actually matters. Our brand tone actually matters. And I help you to sustain. I help you to be more efficient while you're creating your content, while you are reviewing documents, and while are running your business.
All right. All right. Are the mics working? Yeah, the mics are working. Okay. All right, good. Well, welcome to our podcast, everybody. My name is Matt Gaskin. I'm the CIO of Palmetto Citizens Federal Credit Union. Palmetto Citizens is a credit union that was born right here in Columbia, just about a block away in the basement of the high school that is over there where First Baptist is right now. We have grown from an initial start of 5 members, 5 educators, depositing $50 to becoming a credit union that is now $1.3 billion in assets, covering 14 locations, about 86,000 members here in the Midlands. And with AI technology, I'll be talking a little more about really how we got our arms around it as a business. Talk a little more about where the rubber meets the road with these kinds of technologies.
Good morning, everyone. I'm Dave Alsobrooks. I'm the Communications Director at South Carolina Quantum. We're a state-funded convening force. We talk a lot about unprecedented collaboration between education, industry engagement, and entrepreneurship. And we're really just focused on connecting those dots. So we've spent our first year or so creating relationships with all those entities, and now we're trying to gain traction with actual projects and use cases where we're partnering those folks together to solve really hard problems that lead to economic development and workforce development here in South Carolina and across the Southeast. So thanks for having me.
Thank you so much.
Hi, I'm Kevin Schumacher. I work in 2 ways to help Columbia move forward in the area of technology. The first thing that I do is I'm Executive Director of Create Opportunity, and we help underserved communities by recruiting, selecting, training, and then placing them in software development roles. That's a great program. If you're ever looking for entry-level talent in full-stack development, please talk to me. And then I also have partnered with the university as well as the city in putting on different programs to bring AI to Columbia. I did a conference at the Dollarmore School of Business last year. It was the first AI conference for the city. And monthly, I do an AI Lunch and Learn that's free to the public, sponsored by the City of Columbia. And in fact, there's one Thursday. If you want to attend, please come see me. It's an hour and 15 minutes once a month. And so that's why I'm here. Thanks.
Okay, thank you. And each of you come from different perspectives, so I'm just curious, would you take just a second and tell me what AI means to your background? What's the forefront of AI in your business?
Forefront of AI in my business is authenticity, that the human voice still matters. The human voice is the most important thing when dealing with AI.
For us, security really comes first. And so when we're talking about AI in our environment, it's recognizing that it's already there and knowing exactly what it's doing and what is happening with your information and data. Because if you're not aware that it is in your environment, and it is, then the very first step when you're looking at this is making sure you know what it's doing and where that information is going. So we look at this as security first. We also look at it from the perspective of how can we leverage these tools to make our current employees more efficient, be able to do more with less. As we're growing, we've got about 320 employees at the credit union, trying to find how we can use and control these tools in a way that is secure and helps bring more focus to our members.
I'll echo a lot of those comments, right? It's about personalization, it's about optimization, it's about efficiency. Ultimately, I guess from my perspective though, a lot like Quantum, I consider AI to just be a tool, right? So it's about having specific goals and it's about having oversight, and a lot of the remarks I think I'll give this morning kind of underscore that point about being really focused and intentional about how you're going to use it. But I will give a shout out as an old head brand person to Donna about the human voice and authenticity. So I just want to appreciate you for those.
I believe that AI can help make small businesses more fun. I ran a small business for 30 years, and it's the tedious tasks and the repetitive tasks that get old and drive you crazy. And I think AI and automation can help business owners and their key people stop doing those things and focus on the things that they enjoy to be more creative and to grow their business.
But you read ahead on the questions because the next question was talking about that exact thing where it says, how do you see AI reshaping small businesses, especially as it comes to repetitive tasks? So Matt shared a little bit about his. Anybody else have anything to offer along those lines? You good? Go ahead.
Repetitive tasks such as emails, such as social media creation, all of those type of things can save our businesses time, energy, and help our staff to do other things. To reiterate, a lot of times people are saying that AI replaces people and causes us to lose jobs. No, we have to train our staff and upskill them, and we can use them to do other things in the business, which is really exciting.
Right. Okay. Matt?
Yeah, I think it's important to remember that AI is not going to replace your experts. If you give these tools to your experts, it's going to allow them to work more efficiently. It's going to allow them to do more. But if you are thinking that you can take these tools and get rid of the people that really understand the content, really have the knowledge of what's happening, you're going to end up with an output that is uncertain. These tools need to be used and checked. For example, if you have somebody that is very good at programming, it can help them write code quicker and more efficiently, if and only if they're able to see what that output is and understand exactly what it's doing. The last thing you want in your environment is somebody who is non-expert that is copying code out of ChatGPT and then running it on your network. That's going to lead to disaster. So again, it's not doing things that you can't already do. It's helping you do those things better.
Very good.
Maybe on the sort of the same tip as being better, it's a way for us to be more in the moment. So you think about real-time analytics, which I think is something that we'll talk about this morning too. Just the technology, the Internet of Things and 5G, as those things are more online for us, it's an opportunity to be in the moment and leverage a lot of data that we didn't necessarily have as quickly before.
Okay. Thank you. Anything else to add?
Are we on question 1 or 2? I'm curious.
2.
Okay, I'll just jump
Number
right
2.
So, what is one of the most common tasks you do every day? It's a Google search, right? We look for things on Google all the time. One of the easiest AI tools you can use today is Perplexity. Perplexity is superior to Google in a lot of ways. That's how you can implement it right now without any thought, without thinking, because when you go to a Google page, it pulls up 20 websites, and you scan each website to see which one applies to you or what I'm looking for, and then you open it, and maybe you got it right, and maybe you're not. I end up looking at 3 websites every time to figure out what I'm looking for. Perplexity opens all the websites, gets your answers, tells you the answers, and says, these are the websites that I used. It saves you time and energy. As well, QuickBooks, Salesforce, HubSpot are all integrating AI features, usually for an upgraded plan. That's one of the easiest ways to implement AI in your business. Use the tools that you already use and use the AI that's in those. That's an easy start to get an idea of the potential of what it can do for your business.
Thank you, and thank you for the tip on Perplexity. Is that a free service that people can use? Okay, so
It's
everybody
pay
go
or
back.
free, depending on, but I only use the free version on that, and it does great.
Okay, thank you so much. Appreciate that. Okay, another question we had was if you're in a small business and you're looking to start using AI technology tools, and you've shared a couple of them, what would be the first thing that you would suggest to the folks to start looking at? How do you do your research? Where do you go? Perplexity.
Want me to start?
You can.
Sure, since we're rolling. The second tool, well, use ChatGPT, use Perplexity to ask it those questions. You don't have to do the thinking and the research anymore, and that's what we keep forgetting about. So if you go into Perplexity and say, hey, I'm using AI for the first time, what are the first 5 tools? Here's my business, here's what we do. What are the first 5 tools I should look at? Let AI tell you what's best. If you don't know how to use ChatGPT, go into ChatGPT and say, hey, I don't know how to use this. Give me some tips. It can help you along the way. Given how inexpensive ChatGPT is, how inexpensive, I'm going to throw out another tool, Claude.ai. So Claude Projects is a piece within Claude, costs $20 a month. You can upload all your data into a Claude project, everything about your company. Claude does not train their model on that data, on any project at all. So it's private. Still not throwing any HIPAA information or personal information in there, but I'm not worried if I'm throwing monthly sales figures in there, okay? And then I can do data analysis, I can ask it questions about the data, I can ask it questions about trends, anything, because it's just my data. It's not looking outside at the internet for anything else. So now I have my own in-house ChatGPT or whatever you want to call it. So those are the first steps that I would be taking.
Okay, thank you. Joe? Go ahead, I'm sorry.
I think Kevin gave us really good advice there.
Okay.
Well, I think we need to go back to base business principles. Doing your due diligence when you are looking into these tools, making sure you know exactly what they do. We had this mantra for a while with when the internet really came on the scene, is that if it's free, then you are the product, right? And so when you're looking at these tools, really dig down into the people who are making them to see what they're doing with the data that you're providing them. A lot of, especially in the financial space, a lot of these tools, they don't really guarantee a level of privacy unless you're using an enterprise version of them. I know that can lead to higher cost, but it really depends on what kind of information you're putting into them and making sure that your employees are trained to know the difference between what is private information, what is company confidential information, and what can be shared publicly. And sometimes even just the everyday productivity tools you use will have these AI services built into them and you don't even know it. For about a year and a half ago, Adobe Reader, which is a very popular free program, I think most of you probably have it on your computer, they changed the default in the search function where it would take your PDF document and instead of doing the search on your computer, would upload it to their cloud where their AI service would analyze it. Now, if you didn't know that data was leaving your network and the document that you had was confidential, you could have potentially leaked that information without even realizing it. So do your due diligence. Recognize that AI itself is not a strategy, it's a tool. So you want to make sure that you're using the tool and the tool is not using you. You want to use AI to further your business and make money and not have the AI tool use you to further their business to make money.
Very good point. Thank you, Donna.
And I agree with my counterparts, especially about being aware of the information that you put into AI. What Kevin said about Claude is very true. I know a lot of people use ChatGPT, and if you don't go into the settings and turn off the availability for chat to use the information that you put in to further train the model, then your information is being used to further train the model. But you can turn that off so that it does become just your information that no one else gets to use. It's also very important to vet the information that comes out of AI. Just because AI spits it out does not mean that it's fact. It's known to hallucinate because I call AI a people pleaser. If it doesn't know the answer, it's going to make it up because it wants to give you what it thinks that you want. So it's very important to import that data into a Google Doc or some type of spreadsheet and review it and check it to make sure that the information you are using in your business actually defines what your business is.
Okay, thank you. I don't know about y'all, but I see some heads nodding. I'm learning a lot this morning, so thank y'all all very much. And I didn't know you could turn off that factor.
You can.
Very good. Okay, so a couple of y'all have mentioned it. AI generates content such as graphics and art, and it's becoming more used. What are the watch outs you have to do to make sure that you're not violating copyright laws of a company or a person or any of those features?
That is a very good question. All of the AI tools have copyright information, and you really want to read the fine print. For example, ChatGPT will say any content that it produces you can own. But you have to be careful that you're not putting in someone else's content and asking it to rewrite it. That's plagiarism. And you don't own that. Also, some of the more enterprise solutions, which means the paid solutions, you have more control over than if you are just using the free features. So I would advise you with all of the tools that you read to see who actually owns the data, the output, even with pictures and things that you create in DALL-E, which ChatGPT used DALL-E. You can own that content, but again, if it resembles a Rembrandt or a Van Gogh or something like that, we really have to be careful. It's upon us as the user to check ourselves.
Okay. As always.
Yeah, I can tell you copyright law is not my expertise. You know, it's my understanding that you can't copyright AI images unless you have put actual human manipulation into the image. But it is a useful tool. I mainly use the image generation for my PowerPoint slides. People think they're incredible, so there you go.
One of the aspects around that, I think, is going back to the human aspect of all this, right? So when we're trying to repurpose or leverage these tools to create images, I think we go back to more like general searches and not trying to search for a Van Gogh Starry Night depicted image and say, hey, I want, an abstract expressionist medium type of thing. So you get back to more general types of image searches rather than specific artists and specific actual pieces of artwork that you want to reference. So find something that's a little bit broader around that, and then perhaps iterate a little bit more so you're a little bit further removed from any sort of copyrighted material. Try to iterate that just a little bit further so that you have a little bit more ownership of it and it's further removed from other artists.
Okay, thank you. Kevin?
So one of the things that was brought up when it comes to graphics, it's common knowledge, which is incorrect, that if you change something 10%, you don't have a problem. That's actually incorrect. If I have 5 items and they're all 15% off from something else, you're violating copyright law. It depends on what the purpose is. If you're creating images to go into a PowerPoint to make a presentation to someone and it's only going to, half a dozen different people, I'm not really worried about copyright law in that instance, right? This is very singular. Copyright law is for things where you're making money off of it. And you're replicating someone else's work and benefiting from what you're profiting from work that they did. So keep that in mind. If it's for a singular purpose, if it's not an ad that goes out into the social media, then you're probably okay if it's for personal use or one-time use. So keep that in mind. If you are using something for a long-term use, then I would simply take the image, drop it into Google, and say, hey, what other images look like this, and see what pops up. And really quickly, you're going to see if there's something that really strongly resembles what you have and realize, okay, I can't use this for commercial purposes.
Okay.
And even if you search that way and find an image, you might find then a royalty-free image that you could purchase, right? So again, it could be a research tool that goes toward finding the right image as opposed to just creating another piece of digital asset that you want to use.
Okay. Thank you. And I'm going to stay with you if you don't mind, and I'm going to ask you if you would explain a little bit about what Quantum SC is and how it plans to influence technological innovation in South Carolina, and then how are our small businesses that are here and that are chamber partners going to be able to benefit from that?
Yeah, so it goes back to our mission. We want to champion quantum talent technology here in South Carolina and in the Southeast. So there's a lot of interest in the space. There's a lot of money in the space. There's a lot of money in science, right? So the NSF has these engine programs, for example. They're large grants. We're submitting to one. Part of our proposal, an integral part of our proposal, is creating an ecosystem here in the Southeast, with South Carolina and Columbia as sort of the epicenter of that. So it's all the partnerships I mentioned before, whether it's ports and national labs, it's colleges, universities, HBCUs, it's economic development, it's creating partnerships between all of these different entities. So that's kind of how we see technology evolving. That's what we call this unprecedented collaboration, where we want to put strange bedfellows together to solve problems. When you have diverse points of view around problems, you get better solutions or more innovative solutions when you have all these different points of view there. So that's kind of our working philosophy around how it's going to evolve. As far as how small businesses participate in that, it's engage with us. Reach out to us. Look at our website. It's scquantum.org. Reach out to me while I'm here. Engage with us, because we talk about the partnership in this ecosystem. It's also a story, right? And we want everybody to be a part of that story. So reach out to us and engage with us. And it's our job to connect you with additional resources.
Okay, thank you. Would you talk just a minute about the partnership that y'all are working with the City of Columbia and how you're working with the University of South Carolina to bring folks together?
We've got a really strong relationship with Darla Moore here at USC. Next month, in a couple weeks, we have a quantum hackathon. We call it a Quantathon. We're going to have 60, 70 students from all around the Southeast that are going to be here tackling some really tough problems: finance, chemistry. We have a random number generator, encryption, and this is where it starts to go over my head as, again, the branding guy, not the engineer. So that's an example. We have a project right now with the Center for Sales Success at Darla Moore where they're working on, I think it's the first of its kind in the country, a program where they're going to develop different ways of selling emerging technologies, and they're going to leverage quantum computing as part of their market research. We've done faculty learning series where we're helping educators learn how to implement quantum into their curriculum. We've done one at Clemson. We also have that almost concurrently with the Quantathon going on at Darla Moore in a couple weeks. So, we've as I mentioned, we've spent the first year kind of building these relationships, and now we're gaining a little bit of traction with actual projects and boots on the ground with a lot of these things.
Mm-hmm. Great. And the work that they're doing and with the hackathon coming to town, that's also going to be something that will inspire young people and teachers to say, hey, there is a future in this, and there are opportunities for us as small businesses and in the city. So thank you all for doing that. And all of these panelists have partnerships that they are working in the community. So after the session, I encourage you to talk to them and see how you might get more involved, or how some of your students or your other organizations that you work with other than your businesses can reach out as well. I want to pause. Anybody have questions up to this point that you'd like to ask? Yes, sir. So I don't know if y'all heard the question or not. It was with your company, how do you prevent bad actors from breaking into your systems? Do you use your personal computers or your business computers, or what advice might the panelists offer in that regard? Did I capture that correctly? Okay, thank you.
I can take a stab at that.
Sure.
So if you're an enterprise organization, you're going to want to most likely have your own customized LLM. And in other words, your own ChatGPT. You want that internal on your servers without access to the internet, just to your network. And that's how you control that. Your data is there, it's only there, just like it's on your servers right now. So you're not making your security, that's not lessening, but you're getting the benefits of AI. It's expensive. I mean, you could spend $100 grand to do that, but that's what a large organization needs to do.
Yeah, I think the other part is to first kind of look internally to see whether or not you have an AI policy in place. In general, you don't want to take data out of your network, just like what my colleague here was saying, because you're also taking it outside of a lot of the other controls that you have to make sure that that data is not stolen or misused. And I think the other piece of that is that in a lot of ways it's sort of like the dot-com boom that we had back in the early 2000s. There are a lot of vendors that are out there that are providing solutions that have already trained these models for specialized use, have already put in place strong security measures. So it's also a case where you can go out and partner with third parties as long as you're doing the vetting and the research there as well. But in general, you want to have your policy developed in-house to make sure that you have that under your security umbrella.
Can I say one more thing, Matthew? The other thing to keep in mind is what's the purpose? Before you start, what exactly are you trying to accomplish? Because that's going to determine what you do. I mean, if you want, we were just talking earlier, if you're in manufacturing and you're dealing with scheduling, well, you might not need AI at all, though it does it very well. Quantum does it better. So look at what the purpose is.
Thank you. Anybody else have anything to add? No? Okay. All right, thank you. Great question. So if you're a small business and you're looking to start preparing for future innovations such as quantum computing, how do you go about that process, even if the technology isn't widely used right now? How do you start planning as a small business to move to the future? Go ahead.
Okay, sure. One step at a time. Start with one thing and work that into your system, your network. So we're going to, scheduling would be an example. You're a manufacturer. We're going to put AI or quantum into scheduling and make that more efficient. That works. Everyone now, your community, your employees are all on board. We saw how that improved things. Well, now let's drop it into sales. Let's see how to improve things there. I can tell you that AI transformed diesel laptops in their sales department. It's remarkable. They cut their expenses by 40% and increased their sales by 25% using AI. So definitely you just have to look at where's the most crucial need and how do we use it.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah, it really does need to be strategy focused. Where is it that you want to take your business? Where is it that you want to go? That's going to determine where you aim these tools at. Again, AI itself is not a strategy. You don't need to shoehorn it into places in the business where it doesn't belong. It needs to be driven by your strategic planning.
Okay, thank you, Don. Anything to add?
And also education of your staff. That is extremely important, that you don't have them tinkering with it here and there, but that you have a strategy to train your staff with the proper use of AI for your business.
Okay, thank you very much. Appreciate that. And I know that Erica and Quantum, they'd had an opportunity where they were looking for folks who had some challenges. How were they trying to improve their production time or any of their work processes? So if you have an opportunity where you're trying to improve, talk with Erica. They might need a real case situation that they can take a look at to help develop something so that some of their students and associations can work with, correct? Okay, thank you.
And we're here in force this morning. My other colleague, Katie, is here as well.
Oh, so good. Nice to meet you. Welcome. Thank you for being here.
Superposition of quantum here this morning.
We love it. Getting ready for the big convention, right? Okay, with technology providing faster access to information, how can small business owners make better data-driven decisions? What tools or technologies would you recommend for gathering and analyzing real-time data?
Google Analytics is very good for analyzing data. And actually, if you're doing the step-by-step, one tool at a time, you can upload data into tools like ChatGPT and ask it to analyze your sales. What is most popular? What should we stop selling? You can upload your information and get actual data that you can use to move forward in your business. Productivity. Any type of data that you can put into a spreadsheet, you can ask tools like ChatGPT questions about it because it can read PDFs, it can read Excel spreadsheet. Again, if you don't have it turned off where the system doesn't use it to train, you want to be careful about what you upload.
Okay. Yes, sir.
You know, I think this also goes into like the preparing type thing. Is we like to talk about data warehousing, data lakes, from a just very practical question is how do you get these AI tools to your data, or how do you get your data to them? By putting them in, a lot of times, putting them up in the cloud. There are software platforms like Snowflake, like Architecture, where these are data warehouses where you can upload your large data sets, and then you can use third-party AI tools that can go in there and analyze this data for you. This is also a place where there are AI tools that will help you with the classic garbage in, garbage out type problem. Is that if your data is inconsistent or it's incorrect, there are AI tools that can go in there and help you identify where you've got errors and problems inside of your data sets. And so by starting to look at data warehousing now, you know, when you start looking at quantum as a service, for example, you're going ahead and positioning your data in a place where it can be analyzed and it can be accessed without, you know, having to do a manual upload of this data into the cloud. You can set up automated processes where your analysis can be more real time with the, you know, any given statistical package that you might purchase, or if you're using things like Power BI to build dashboards and things of that nature. Having a good data set and a good methodology for getting it there and securing it is key, and it can help you be ready to leverage a lot of these tools as they become available in the future in the cloud.
Okay, thank you. Dave?
I just go back to, again, like the human aspect of this, and it's setting the expectation and having goals. And my colleagues talk a lot about these specific examples of these tools, and I think those are all great, but I just go back to, like, what am I trying to get out of it, and then find the right tool. So there's the research into the problem itself, but then there's the research into these tools are so specialized that it's about finding the right tool for the right job. And just, I think Matt said this earlier, like, AI itself is not a strategy, right? So you got to find a tool that is aligned with the goal that you have, and just sort of come back to that.
Okay, thank you.
I agree with everything that you all have said. Matthew, that was what you talked about in the data lakes and everything is perfect. But that's more for an enterprise customer. If you're a small business, you have 10 employees, I don't think you have a data lake. You are working with a PDF that has your company policies that's 5 pages long. You're working with sales reports that are maybe for a few hundred customers. And so that type of data you can easily throw into a Claude project that I mentioned earlier, and you can create an interactive dashboard to help you interpret that data better. So an AI, it talked about in the question for gathering data, AI doesn't gather data, AI analyzes data. Mm-hmm. If you can get the data and put it into AI in some form, it can help you better analyze it. Can I give another example? I know we keep giving examples. When I first came on board with Create Opportunity, we were interviewing 50 different people to get into 19 slots. And so imagine going through 50 interviews and taking notes on those interviews. I immediately switched it to every interview, and they're all through video chat. We use fireflies.ai to get a transcript. Some of you might use otter.ai, you might have seen this. So it gives you a transcript and a summary. Then we take that transcript, we drop that into ChatGPT in a custom GPT and say, these are all the questions we're trying to get answers to. Fill in a spreadsheet, and we've already designed the spreadsheet in here, and answer all these questions for me. So now, instead of having to take notes, we can focus on the interview. Everything's recorded into a spreadsheet with just drop-down menus, yes, no, or whatever we've put in for those. And so now I can have notes from 50 different people in one spreadsheet, and I can create a spreadsheet for each one individually, but I'm not creating any of that. ChatGPT is doing that all based on a transcript. So you drop in 50 transcripts. Now something that took weeks takes a couple of days. So this is where you can use AI. We're pulling data out of a transcript and using it for our benefit, right? To help make things much, we're talking about efficiency here, make things much, much more efficient.
I still see a lot of heads nodding. I'm learning a lot. I can't wait. I'm writing all these notes down to go back and start researching. It's going to scare the chamber team to death. So for folks like me who are always a little bit behind the curve on technology, and I will admit I'm one of them, what would you recommend for small businesses to do to get them out of the box and get started? And then what do you see as being the major drawback to those businesses who aren't willing to get out and learn a little bit more and use AI for their advantage?
So I would say one of the things that is holding small businesses back is the fear of the technology.
Right.
And thinking that they have to know how it works. And that's why you begin small. You begin with one thing, and then you build upon it. You just continue to build upon it. For example, everyone is taking notes right now. If you had ChatGPT on your phone and you wanted to summarize your notes, you could literally take a picture of it, speak on the microphone and say, please summarize these notes for me, and your notes from today will automatically be summarized. You could actually also ask it, if you had it trained in your business voice and tone, how can I use this information in my business that would be efficient and cost effective?
I love it.
Yeah, I think the main challenge there is, again, making sure that you have solid policies in place in your business. I think when you're personally using a lot of these tools, you don't have to worry about that so much if you're not working with PII or very sensitive data. It's not as much of an issue, but just kind of being on the lookout for those things. I think a lot of us use Teams, for example. One useful tool inside of Teams is you can use Copilot to transcribe your meeting. It's a fantastic tool. It'll go and transcribe everything that you've talked about in the meeting. You can even summarize it and put it into chapters and things like that, so that you can go back and reference those things later. It's really great for project managers if you have project management office in your business. But also kind of doing the research on that to see that, to fully lock down or secure that solution, you have to have a certain Microsoft licensing level. And just being aware that exists, that security tools exist, that when you're using these things that you go in and examine just fully the implications of the data that you're putting in there and how it's going to be used.
Even with small teams, let's say we're talking again about the example of you got 5 folks or 10 folks on your team, I think there's a danger in sort of the fragmentation of effort there. So if you've got somebody using Copilot, you've got somebody using Otter, and then you've got all these different systems floating around, it becomes unmanageable even with 3 people, much less a few hundred. So paying attention to that, having a little bit of oversight on that, and then myself coming from the branding side of things, just thinking about the repercussions of fragmentation in your tool set or in your tool stack, right? So if I've got a bunch of tools generating content for my brand voice is lost if I've got 10 different points of view generating content out there. So applying that concept or that principle of fragmentation and like sort of trying to forecast like where all the areas of my business that might affect. And branding is one of those that I don't think we've talked about yet necessarily in depth, but it can affect all levels of your business if you get into that situation of fragmentation.
Thank you.
Really good advice. Thanks, Dave. I see for most small businesses, especially with 25 and under, 20 and under employees, that the small business owner is usually the problem. Because the small business owner wants to do it. They want to be the one to implement it. They get into a project. They're trying to figure out how to create a custom GPT for their business, and they get busy, and they get pulled away, and this fire has to be put out. And now I have to go on to this conference. I think AI is so important that we need to get to the point where we have someone in the company whose job is to implement and keep track of AI and understand what tools are available. You have a person for accounting to take care of the books because that's so important. If you have one person that says, okay, these are the tools we're going to use and this is how we're going to do it, and they train people how to use it, instead of having a mediocre launch where we have 10 people all trying to use ChatGPT and the owner's trying to create a custom ChatGPT and people make mistakes and all of a sudden some proprietary information gets put input, right? I believe we're at the point where one person should be in charge of that. You're hiring somebody with that expertise.
Fascinating. Thank you so much. Anybody have questions? Yes, ma'am.
So a big theme of today is kind of the security and being aware of where your data might be going, and some of the advice was turn those features off, make sure that your data isn't feeding the models. If that becomes a theme across the board, more people being aware of the data that you're putting in might be being used, and they start to turn those features off, is there a concern that the data that ChatGPT or any of these AI models are using becomes obsolete because it's essentially been cut off from the feeders of accurate, real-time, new data?
Excellent point. Did y'all hear that on this side of the room? The question was, and I'm going to rephrase it so keep me straight, if people know that they can turn off the ChatGPT and keep that information from going public, if everybody starts turning it off, then how valid and how valuable is ChatGPT to pulling in the information and helping you come up with an answer or summarizing what you're working on? Matt, I see you shaking your head.
Yeah, well,
I'm going to let you go first on that one. Good question.
yeah, I don't mean to deflect this, but I would say that in large part that is a problem for ChatGPT to solve. I think like from a business perspective, we are more interested in privacy and security. I know that is a problem that they have anyway when they're trying to find larger and larger data sets to incorporate and to make their models more accurate. But I don't think there's going to be a case where enough people turn off the telemetry to the point where where it can't function. I think that is something that they are aware of. There is going to be a difference between a business use case and a personal use case. I think when you're using it for personal, non-business reasons or for not things that do not have to be locked down and secured, it's fine to keep the telemetry on as long as you're aware of what it is that you're sharing and that you are being fully knowledgeable and complicit in it.
Okay, thank you. Yes, sir?
Who in here is on LinkedIn? Today, LinkedIn is using all your data to train a new LLM that they want to use internally.
Yep.
If you didn't know that, that's happening today. OpenAI is raising $6.5 billion from people like Microsoft and Apple who have enormous databases to train on. Yes, they may lose access to our little conversations, but they're not losing training data completely. They have lots of training data. Now they may just have to start paying for it, right? Which would be nice. But they're still going to have training data. And a lot of people are using ChatGPT to create something, then putting it on the internet, and then ChatGPT's training off of that. So we're getting in a loop with so much data being created by ChatGPT and then trained on ChatGPT that there is a limit where all of a sudden it's just recycling its own answers. And so that's one of the challenges OpenAI and these other LLMs have to work with to try and to get through. So there's more problems than just us turning off the switch. There's other obstacles they have to overcome in the near future.
Thank you. I'm not sure, but I think one of the things I am going to do is go research a little bit more and figure out how to use AI to my advantage and how to protect AI from getting to my information. Personally, the chamber, we're wide open there, so it's not a problem for us at that point. So, but anybody else have a question? Yes, sir. Okay, what new skill sets will be essential as the new technology comes online? Anybody?
Well, I think, again, it's like this is not going to replace your experts. I think when dealing with things like ChatGPT, the more knowledge you have, the better you can frame your questions, and the better you can get as far as output is concerned. And so, I had somebody that was trying to use ChatGPT to research some PowerShell functions, right? And instead of asking the question or framing it in the way he did, we went in and asked it specifically to, for example, I want you to produce a script in Python using known libraries for performing this particular calculation, and would like you to output it in this particular way. And ChatGPT is able to create something very specific, whereas if I didn't know what I was doing, it would have returned something very general. So I think knowing how to interact with these platforms and having a good base knowledge yourself is what is going to help make you take that to the next level. Because if you bring in limited knowledge, you're going to get back limited knowledge.
I would pair that technical expertise with creativity. I'm always going to be an advocate for creativity. But I think creativity is the point where you get to, hey, how do I reinvent this question? And I understand this tool. How do I reinvent this question a fourth time, a fifth time? Like, how do I keep iterating and meet the tool where it's at? And that takes a little bit, if not a lot, of creativity to get to that point. So,
Thank you.
Donna? Okay. Where are we going with technology? What do we need to know? Since I'm training people in software development, that's a big question that we are asking ourselves. And I can tell you that front-end developers, I think in 3 years will be obsolete. And you'll have to just simply know, how do I ask questions correctly for ChatGPT or any other AI model on how I want to create a front-end that looks like this. Whereas user experience, that's much more difficult. So we want to get to understand what AI is going to be capable of mastering, what it's not. Just like what Matt was saying, if I have I think it was legal, if I know what I'm doing, I know how to ask the right question to get the best answer out of ChatGPT. And then I can take that and edit it and say, okay, I like all this, but I want to change these couple of things. It gives you an 80% head start. So I think the experts are going to have to learn how to use ChatGPT. What it can do down the road, though, is wipe out a lot of entry-level positions, because the experts are able to do 5 times as much work as they used to do, because ChatGPT or whatever AI model is giving them an 80% jump before they get started. So that's my big concern. We may have a bubble of what happens to all the people who just have 1 year of experience when ChatGPT has 10. So those are my concerns. I don't have answers for that yet.
Which is very important, that we upskill our staff with AI and knowing what our businesses need so that the proper education can take place. And of course, we want to make money, and we don't want people to lose jobs. So how can we better use the people in our businesses so that we can scale, so that we can pivot? So upskilling with AI is very important at this moment, that there is someone, I believe Kevin said that you have someone whose job is AI and researching what our business need and what's most important and how to best implement it, and to have these rules and regulations around the use in our business.
Thank you very much. This is very critical information for us at the Chamber. We just brought in Laura McKinney, who is now our Director of Talent Development and Workforce Readiness. And so she's going to be working with local schools and with companies, trying to make sure that we have the workforce that we need and the training that we need going into the future. So I can't wait to go back, for all of us to go back and tell her what all we've learned about AI and use that to the benefit of all of our small businesses. So I do want to thank our panelists. Y'all have been amazing. I am just overwhelmed with new information to go back. Rebecca said she's writing notes. So now you know all the experts in the field. If you need assistance, these folks will be more than happy to help you. They're going to be here after the program too, so you can talk. I do apologize. We were waiting for the traffic again. We're going to have to think about moving the time of this meeting so we can get the 8:30 traffic through town. But thank you to each and every one of you for being here. And I have a couple of drawings. We're going to, you put your name in the pot. And we had Palmetto Citizens Federal Credit Union sponsors our Small Business of the Year, and they always provide us with nice coffee mugs. So we're going to draw one name out for that. Yeah, that's good. And it's Grayson Miller with WIS TV 10. Thank you, Grayson, for being here. And I have to tell you, too, everybody knows, and we're all mourning the loss of Joe Penner, and he was such a wonderful icon, a legacy. How many people were ever on the Mr. Knows It show? Are y'all too young? Okay, thank you. See me afterwards, I'll tell you all about it. But I was telling Robbie, there are so many wonderful stories about Joe Penner and what his impact on this community was and what he meant to WIS and all of us. And I told Robbie, the one thing I've been trying to share is, you know, Joe Penner, he never was at a loss for words. And David Stanton one time said, you'll never see Joe Penner get one of these stretch it outs because you're always like, stop, stop, stop. So he was always such a mess and such a pleasure and did so many wonderful things. For that, we thank you and thank you, WIS. Y'all do a great job supporting all of our community activities. Okay, so I'm going to do one other thing to see who all was paying attention. When we first started talking, Kevin mentioned a new service that we could all use to plug in and help us figure out AI information. Anybody remember? Yay, good answer, Eric. He comes new and he pays great attention. Thank you, I have a mug for you. All right, thank you so much. And then as the chamber way, I do want to tell you that we have so many activities coming up. A lot of fun things that are going on this Wednesday, tomorrow night at 4:30 at Pulliam Restoration. They're having a big party, big anniversary party. So please go online at columbiachamber.com and register to come out. It's going to be a lot of people, not just from the chamber, but from their community as well. So that'll be a fun event. And then on October the 3rd, we are having our annual gala, and we're doing it on Main Street. So Hillary says I can't call it a street party, but it's a street party, y'all. So please come on out. It's going to be a lot of fun. The root doctors are coming. We have great food from all of our Main Street folks. The lights are going to be there. It's going to be a great event. We're going to recognize our past chairman, our incoming chairman, our military advocate of the year, and if anybody knows anything about Dominion Energy, Keller Kersam is our ambassador of the year. So another great champion that we have for all things good in Columbia. And then we also, the Midlands Minority Business Accelerator Program is accepting applications now. So if you're a small business and you want to, you know how to run your business, but you want to know how to grow your business and manage it, Naomi will be glad to talk with you about that program. It's a great program, a lot of free services that will benefit people to grow their business. And so we hope that y'all will take advantage of that. And then let's see, let me make sure I've covered all of my notes. We also have our breakfast briefing is coming up on October 9th. We'll be right back here, and it's going to be talking about the new Richland County Transportation Penny. I would love for all of y'all to come, bring your friends. This is something that is going to impact each and every one of us in every direction that we go. We just want to make sure that you're educated, you know the facts, and you've had an opportunity to ask questions so that when that vote comes up on November 5th, you got a lot to think about. We want you to have already made your decision on that one. So that will be a very good breakfast, and hopefully will be well attended. And then on October 22nd, we have our next small business breakout. So hope to see you then. Thank you, each and every one of you, for all that you do, for making a difference, for supporting the chamber and growing business here, and making it a fun place to live, work, and play. We appreciate you. Have a great day. Thank you again to our panelists. Y'all were amazing. Thank you.